3.2 of Jobsheet, which includes a whole bunch of changes that we think you should know about. Now, just quickly, we're just assuming that you already use Jobsheet and you're quite familiar with the system. So let me log in as Tony here, and I'll show you through it. So here we've got two jobs, one of them an estimate and one of them a quote. So first of all, I'll take you through the estimate. So if we click on the job card, that's all the same. Click on billable items, and here's where all the changes happen. So what we've done is we've basically taken the existing estimate system and we've added a new column, which is this one here. Now that's for all the actual items that you're going to enter. So for example, the boss here has estimated a whole bunch of things, and this estimate would have been sent to the customer. Now what happens with an estimate, of course, is that it's obviously just an estimate, so you can actually then start entering your actuals. So for example, we put hire of a concrete cutter, we're assuming this is 2 hours. Now say for example you actually used it for 3, you really want to bill that to the customer. So here I can change this 2 to a 3, press enter, and it'll change the total that you're billing the customer. I can also make it 0 if I don't want to bill the customer. Say you didn't need to use it and you don't want to bill the customer that product. So we'll change that back to 3. And again, you can change all of these items just as you would for the top one. So 2 of those, and I can also change my time on the job to 3 hours, which will change the total here. So now what I've done is I've taken that original estimate and I've changed all the quantities to what I actually used. So now the total will reflect what should actually be billed. Now what you can also do is you can also add other items to this as per what you'd normally do in a charge up. So I can go and add a tap. I can also go and add some time for myself, etc., just as you normally would. Now as you would have noticed also on the right hand side there's a new tick box. Now this tick box is for whether you want to put this particular item on the invoice. So as you can see, these ones that are faded out are obviously because they're from the original estimate. So they will always be ticked and you can't change that. What you can do, like I mentioned earlier, is you can 0 that amount so that it shows on the invoice but it'll show a 0 here. And you can also record other items that weren't on the estimate, change the price as per usual, and then choose whether you want to show that on the invoice or not. So when it gets invoiced, this here can be adjusted as per needed, and that will update the totals, of course, as well. So that's the basic change. Now, of course, when you add items, you can also delete them as per a charge up. But of course the ones that have been estimated originally are all locked. So that is essentially your estimate. A quote works in a very similar way, except that on the quote, as you'll see here, when you change the actuals, the actual column, it will not change the total that you're billing the customer, because a quote is a fixed quote. Now, if you'd like to, for example, use the same amount that was quoted 1, but you'd also like to bill another 2, and you'd actually like to bill it to the customer, you can still add more items to this job at the bottom here as you need to. So for things like if the customer decides that they want another 2 of these, then you can add that to the quoted invoice, and bill it out. So as you'll also notice here, I can now adjust this total to whatever I want, and also it won't show in the invoice by default. So if I want to show this on the invoice, I have to tick it to make sure that that will actually show. Now another suggestion we have is that if you are going to do changes to a quote and you are going to put additions that the customer's asked for, that you create a section called something like additions, and you move all of those additions up to that section. So when it's on the invoice, the customer will see additions, they'll see what's been added, and they'll also see the original quote below here, so that it separates it, so you don't get people coming back to you saying that you've overcharged them. The only other way of doing this is obviously create a brand new job for those additions, which sometimes is not practical. So that's a good workaround. So that's the basics of it. If you'd like any more information, just give us a call, 0800 Jobsheet, or flick us an email, support@jobsheet.co.nz. But hopefully that's all good. Now it should be released to you start of February, so that'll just appear at some point on one day. So good luck.